Hey, uh, how you guys are doing? Hope you guys are doing great. Listen, um, I decided that I wanted to sit down and to start to just post some videos of some thoughts, some ideas, some different things that we don't always deal with on a day to day basis like we should. So I wanted to start with this video being about a journey to your healing. Now, a lot of us have dealt with or are dealing with a lot of trauma that we've had in our lives in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Be it family trauma, personal trauma, it could be an accident, it could be anything, that actually just shakes up your psyche and just really, really puts you in a place of discomfort on a constant basis. And a lot of times, we're never taught to really deal with that trauma. We're never taught to put the trauma to rest. We're really taught to just, pray it away or, just don't worry about it. You made it out of it, so you should be fine. And that's not the answer to the healing part of the trauma that we are experiencing. So, like speaking for myself, I lost my grandmother beginning of this year very suddenly. She actually took her last breath in front of me. So it was in that moment my entire world shapeshifted. I literally was almost like in a paradox, so to speak, to believe that, oh my gosh, this really happened. So it was at that moment in time where a lot of things were going on, had to take on a lot of responsibility with making decisions and handling things, and still handling a lot of things that need to be taken care of, with her affairs and the like, which is a normal thing in anybody's family when we lose a loved one. But it was at that moment that I knew every time that I had an issue, when my grandmother was here, I put it to the back burner because I figured, no, I have to take care of her first. So I was actually putting myself last when I was dealing with a lot of different things, and for my job, body image issues, and even some things from the past and some people from my past and even in my present, it started to dwell up, and bring up a lot of things for me. So it got to a point where I found myself starting to shut down. And when I started to do that, I literally was believing that everyone was my worst enemy. I didn't trust anybody. I didn't really want to say anything. I was just always putting on the mask like, everything is fine. I'm going to get through it. And the whole time I'm suffering in silence. I'm crying myself to sleep at night. I'm sitting up here, not sleeping, if at all, half eating, a lot of different things that were going on because the issues of my heart were now at the forefront and at its breaking point. So it was around that time, I decided, I needed to talk to a therapist. I needed to talk to a therapist. I needed to talk to somebody. I needed to unpack all of these things and to really understand the reasoning behind all of the heavy lifting I took on that I didn't have to. And to process different things that I experienced, from my childhood, even now, even to my current adult years now. And, initially, especially in the Black community, a lot of us frowned upon going to a therapist about anything. It's, oh, you don't need a therapist. There's nothing wrong with you. Just pray it away. We don't do therapists. Says who? Who's we? Because a lot of you who say that you don't do therapists are the ones who are in dire need of it, just like I am. And when we say that we don't need a therapist, or we don't need help, or we don't need this, we are literally destroying the steps that we haven't even taken in this journey towards our healing. You know, I've always been taught that I'm responsible for my healing, but I'm not responsible for the trauma. You know, what happened, it was beyond my control in the moment that it took place. And it affected me in such a way that now I'm sometimes shutting down. I'm having mood swings. I'm sitting up here and thinking that, you know, this replaying out in my mind is going to give me anxiety, shortness of breath, all of these different things. Bipolar disorder, it will trigger you in such a way that the slightest thing that'll make you think of that trauma will take you to another place mentally. And a lot of times we end up hurting those that we love or hurting ourselves because we're afraid to take the journey that we need towards our healing. So I say that to say this: we have to take ownership of ourselves and our person in this time, especially in the healing part that we all have to undergo in order to pass things. No, we can't always pray it away. No, we can't sit up here and think, well, we won't talk about it, nothing will change. Everything will be fine. We just leave it alone, it'll go away. It won't go away. It will be literally an elephant in the room every time you step into a room. And if we're not careful, a lot of times we are a powder keg waiting to explode, and anybody around us can catch whatever we are dealing with, because why? We never dealt with it. You know, so I ask this question: what is it that you are carrying? What traumas are you still holding on to? How are you going to get past those traumas? Have you allowed yourself to sit in them? And have you, most importantly, taken ownership of the fact that I am not doing anything about these traumas, but whatever comes out and whatever emotions come out, I don't care who they have inflicted upon and who they have affected. Where's the logic in that? And that was me. I was the one blaming everybody else and everything about me, but in all retrospect, I wasn't telling anybody anything. I wasn't even allowing someone the room to think that I was that anything was going on, because it was something that I was taught even as a child, and we've all been there, and a lot of us are still there. You know, and you know, a lot of times, you know, there you have your circle of friends who are like, well, are you sure everything is okay? Because they figure everything isn't okay. And sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong. You know, but it's when people notice that you're always on an up all the time and you never seem to have a down day, sometimes it becomes a concern, because a lot of people who are, you know, depressed can cut it on and be worrying about making people laugh and making people feel good, but they're not doing anything for themselves to make themselves feel good. You know, so where are you on your journey? Have you started your journey? Are you afraid to start the journey? You know, these are all questions that I asked myself and I had to be honest about. You know, I can answer them for you. Where I was on my journey? Nowhere. I didn't really start any work. I just figured, you know, I'll deal with it. That was my thing. I'll handle it. I'll take care of it. I'll deal with it. I'll take care of it. And now that this change in my life has happened, this turn of events have happened, I don't have a choice now. Okay, so now you can deal with it. You use your grandmother as an excuse to sacrifice yourself to take care of everything she needed. She had everything she needed. It was me being afraid of wanting to deal with what I needed to deal with emotionally. So that does answer the question, was I afraid of the journey? Yeah, I was afraid, because now this pillar that I had had, professed myself to be of being strength and understanding and patience, and all of these things starting to have cracks in it. And the wear and tear is now starting to show. So now I have to get mended because I'm broken. How am I going to help somebody else that's broken? You know, was am I out of the woods yet? No. I've started therapy, and thank you to a very, very good friend, of my sister's, who's a friend of mine. He knows who he is, because he also uses the same therapist. And it so far has taught me to be able to forgive myself. And a lot of us don't do that. A lot of us, we don't forgive ourselves. We don't forgive ourselves for allowing the hurt to last so long. And I'm going to be honest, I did. I let the hurt last a very long time. Very long time. And it started to take a toll on me physically, where initially, I dealt with the issue now of, with weight gain again, and dealing with, just feeling mentally defeated in a lot of places. And I had to remind myself that it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to be in a place where you don't know what the outcome is going to be. It's okay to be in a place where you need help. And when I was able to give myself that forgiveness of not taking care of myself, of allowing myself to keep sitting in the hurt, I felt literally a weight off of my shoulders. I felt like I could honestly and truly say that I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but I have room to fix them. And in doing that, on this part of this journey, it has allowed me to be okay with feeling, because we don't always get to feel. We don't always allow ourselves to feel because we're being something or someone to everybody else. By the time I get back to me, I have nothing to give. Physically, I got nothing to give. I'm physically tired. Emotionally, I don't even know what to begin to think. I don't have anything. And to be able to forgive yourself, I think, is the first part of your journey towards your healing. And when you forgive yourself, it does free you. It frees you, because a lot of times the only person standing in our way is us. I was standing in my way. I was a mess. A mess who knew how to speak eloquently. A mess who knew how to, do this and do that with such poise and such this and such grace and such that. And to be able to really, really mask everything like everything was fine, when in all reality it wasn't. And I was suffering in silence and not taking advantage of the healing process. And every time you suffer in silence, that's a warning sign that you need to take care of yourself. You need to heal. So if I could tell you anything on your road to your healing or your recovery or whatever you like to call it, from dealing with the traumas that you've had to deal with, make sure you forgive yourself first. Forgive yourself, because a lot of the guilt we're carrying is because we hurt ourselves and we allowed others to hurt us, and we allowed the hurt to continue, and we never ever forgave ourselves for making that choice of really saying, I'm sorry. I had to turn to myself and said, Ray, forgive me for allowing you to keep being hurt, to keep sitting in discomfort, to keep looking the other way, to keep suppressing the feelings instead of giving it a sound or even addressing it when it happened. I had to forgive myself, and I'm still forgiving myself and allowing myself to let the tears fall, because the word forgive is so powerful. It's powerful, and it's almost, not even almost, it's literally a breaking of a bound or a chain that has you anchored and you feel like you can't move. We find it so easy to forgive everybody else, but we can't forgive ourselves. Why? Why can't we forgive ourselves? Why can't we forgive ourselves? Why can't we love ourselves that much to forgive ourselves? Whoever's out there listening, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself, and mean that with your whole heart. Handle yourself with care. Handle yourself better than anybody else could. You deserve it. You owe this to yourself, to be able to forgive yourself for where you went wrong. Because when you're forgiving yourself, that's also giving room to accountability of what you allowed and what you let happen. Please forgive yourselves. If we're going to start this place of healing, if we didn't learn anything from this past year, tomorrow's not promised. Forgive other people if you need to, that you may have wronged. But make sure while you're out here forgiving others and asking for forgiveness of others, that you're asking forgiveness from yourself. You matter. You mean something to someone. You're not alone in this. You know, you're not another option to anybody. You're not an option to yourself. You're top priority. Make sure you love on yourself in such a way that this will be the standard of what love will mean to me, no matter what. So if anything you took from this video, I know it's very long. I didn't expect it to be, almost 20 minutes. But if you did listen through it, make sure to forgive yourself. Because that way you can start to heal, because the guilt will be lifted. Well, I'm not going to labor any longer. I wanted to just put that out there, but if somebody needs to hear this, share it. Pass it along, because I know there's other people out there like me, and to know that we can relate to each other on some level, that's where the journey of healing starts. Love you guys.